culture of an organization permeates from upwards to downwards. So, when this crisis happened, the first thing that I think one needs to do is look inwards. And that's what we also did as a group. We looked inwards, we got all our schools together, and they've been doing exceptionally well. Some schools have been doing better than most. Some have been just come up in a year or two. In fact, we have 3 new schools which have started off this year. So they are the fledglings in the group. They were a different lot altogether. We brought all of them together, put them under different zones, put the zonal heads together, and we decided we are going to strengthen our communication, because I think for any crisis, the key word is good communication. And in a typical school situation, there were 3 important stakeholders: the student, the parent, and the teachers. And the communication with each stakeholder has to be very, very strong. So we began, when this crisis hit, we began with a communication with our teaching community. We brought all of them together. We started having more conversations with them. We started having conversations. The zonal heads started having conversations with their principals and teachers. Principals started having conversations because now there was no way of us meeting together. It was only a meeting through technology or phone. I mean, if that can also be called technology nowadays. So the thing was, it was very important that the communication channel was strengthened. The next stakeholder was our parent. We had, I think by now we must have had, I don't even remember how many rounds of communication we've had with our parents, keeping them informed, assuring them of what we are trying to do, because we are trying to make the situation as normal as possible for our parents and our children. So this is another thing we have done. We have made our communication with our children very, very robust. It's not that we've reached the perfection level. We still have a long way to go, but this has been our channel for moving forward, a very, very strong communication. Then the second thing has been to try and make the situation appear as normal as possible. It's a very cliched statement, but the only thing constant is change. So let's look at it as a new constant and not really worry too much about what's going to happen. So we literally are taking it step by step. We have an action plan for July, August. We have communicated to all our stakeholders across all 19 schools. We have created an openness in the organization where anybody has the freedom to approach anybody. There are no restrictions that way, which normally in a school probably would exist. Parents have the freedom to call up anybody they feel like. And I think that has really made the difference. We've been hearing a very marked change in the kind of communications we are receiving from parents, from our community. So I would say communication is the key word for handling the crisis right now. Almost a month back, we've already created a COVID crisis management committee.
Okay.
We've already got our SOPs in place.
Okay.
Because you see, we have a few residential schools also. And we have children from not only India, but abroad also, who come and reside in our schools. So our crisis is not, of course, this crisis is not limited to India alone. It is across the world. So it affects everyone. But what happens is, like I said, well prepared, half job done.
Okay.
So that is what we tried to do. This was something which we took over last month. The entire activity because we were actually planning that earlier. The government was saying maybe by the first week of August we might open up.
Yes.
So things look very different now.
Absolutely.
So sometime by May end, I think we had already put our committee and our SOP in place, and we had already created an action plan of how we are going to go about it. Again, a lot you know, in our cases in India, man proposes, government disposes. So we may plan and we may plan. Uh, we have kept a couple of options. We've thought of a couple of options. What if the government says you can only bring in 50% of your strength? What are we going to do then? What happens? So we are prepared with many options. It could be like, half school coming in. So actually, see, the ideal situation would be when you open with only senior secondary, it has to be a staggered opening. It cannot happen that the whole school opens in one go. It'll be probably senior secondary coming in because they are the most important stakeholders. Then we bring in 9, 10. Again, the we have a structure in place, but it is different for different school because the new schools don't have those huge strength. But there are schools where we have 3,000 children, more than that also in some of them. So the policy for them is completely different vis-a-vis a policy for a school which is only 500-600 children. Again, policy is very different for a residential school where, let me share with you, we still have a lot of staff staying there.
Okay.
So in fact, that has already been put into place. And again, I really would like to give a lot of credit to our director. He is the person. So we have a complete hospital, medical staff, everything in place in our campus. So partially, a lot of things are already being implemented. The safety measures, as have been advocated, we are definitely we're prepared. But having said that, I think we still need to do a lot of preparation. It was a small town in Maharashtra. It was the number 2 schools amongst the army schools. And almost 20% of teachers moved out every year. But the transition happened so seamlessly because the process was laid out so beautifully. And that happens when you actually empower your teachers. I don't believe that as a leader, I need to micromanage. Then I'm actually not doing justice to anybody. I hire good talent if I'm going to micromanage. This is what I do. So I feel that I have never ever left an organization in, with half complete work. So I have always moved on. Sometimes it was a matter of necessity. Sometimes it was just that we had an agreement for a certain number of years. Because, it has been, in all my years, my speciality has been taking up troubled schools and putting them to right. It's a it's a strange profile, but that's what I have enjoyed doing. And so I always went and I thought if I cannot complete in 2 years of sorting out a school, I'm not really going to be able to sort it out ever. So that way it was very helpful. So this is what I feel, transitioning from organization doesn't matter. It's if you have good systems, if as a leader you're putting good systems in place, it doesn't matter who heads it. One should have a very positive attitude. You can't walk into an organization thinking everything is wrong over here. Your predecessor has not wasted time over there. You definitely are coming with a lot of new ideas, but value what is already existing. Take what is there, see the goodness in that, and bring it to the next level. You don't have to, like there's a very old saying we've been teaching children, to make your line longer, bigger, you don't have to erase the other one. You have to simply stretch yours a little longer. So I don't think so. In fact, I would say if a good foundation has been set by your predecessor, you are a blessed person. The right attitude can actually help you take the organization higher, because when the organization moves higher, your personal growth is guaranteed. There can be no personal growth without the growth of the organization. People who think like that are, I don't think so, are really looking at a long-term growth.